Imagine a car, but forget for a moment the engine and the horsepower. Instead, close your eyes and picture the inside. The smell of rich, supple leather envelops you. You run your hand across the dashboard and your fingers trace not a smooth, seamless surface, but thousands of tiny, perfect ridges. This is not a texture made by a machine. This is the story of human hands, a story told one stitch at a time. In a world that often values speed and volume above all else, the creation of a single Bentley interior stands as a quiet, deliberate rebellion. It is a monument to time itself, a process where the very idea of cost is redefined, not in terms of money saved, but in the immense investment of human skill and patience. To understand what you are truly paying for, you must forget the price tag and step inside the workshop, where the clock moves differently and the value of a single minute is measured in the perfection of a seam. The journey of this leather begins far from the factory floor, with a selection of hides that are the absolute best of the best. This is not just about choosing a color. It is about a fanatical pursuit of flawlessness. Experts scrutinize every square inch, searching for the faintest scar, bite mark, or stretch mark that would be invisible to anyone else. These natural imperfections, the life story of the animal, are unacceptable here. Only the most pristine central sections of the hide will be chosen, often meaning that more than half of the original material is discarded before the work even begins. This is the first, silent cost, the cost of rejection. It is a declaration that nothing less than perfection will be allowed to touch the cabin of this car. Once chosen, the leather undergoes a lengthy, traditional tanning process, often using natural extracts, to ensure it not only looks beautiful but will also age gracefully, developing a unique patina over decades, becoming softer and richer with time, unlike the plastic-coated leather in ordinary cars that simply cracks and wears out. This careful preparation is the foundation, the raw canvas upon which the artists will work. Then, the cutting begins, and here, the human eye and hand prove their irreplaceable worth. In most modern manufacturing, a computer-controlled laser would blast through dozens of layers of leather at once, maximizing speed and efficiency. But leather is a natural, living material. No two hides are identical in thickness or density. A laser cannot feel a subtle variation, a slightly softer spot that might stretch differently. At Bentley, master cutters use handheld presses and knives, guided by paper templates. They feel the leather, they understand its unique character, and they carefully position each pattern piece to avoid any minor flaw and to ensure the grain and stretch are perfectly aligned for that specific part of the car's interior. It is a slower, more thoughtful process, a conversation between the craftsman and the material. This method creates significantly more waste, as the pieces cannot be nested with computer-like precision to save every last scrap. But the reward is consistency and quality that a machine could never guarantee. Every piece of leather that goes into the car is there because a human decided it was worthy. Now comes the heart of the matter, the part that defines the Bentley interior more than anything else, the miles of thread and the ancient art of stitching. This is where the true accumulation of man-hours becomes almost difficult to comprehend. First, consider the thread itself. It is not a synthetic, plastic-based thread, but a robust, waxed linen thread, strong enough to last the lifetime of the car. The holes for this thread are not punched by a machine in one rapid, rattling motion. Instead, each one is individually pricked by hand using a special awl. This crucial step allows the leather to part for the needle without being torn, creating a clean, tight fit for the stitch that will protect it for generations. Then, teams of stitchers, working in near silence, perform their magic. They do not use sewing machines. They use a technique that dates back centuries, passed down from one expert to the next. Each stitch is made by two needles, one passed from each side of the leather, meeting in the middle and locking together in a perfect, robust knot. This is the famous double needle or saddle stitch. If you look closely at a seam in a Bentley, you will see that each stitch stands independently, a tiny, proud pillar. The reason this matters is profound. In a machine-sewn seam, a single, continuous thread is looped again and again by a high-speed needle. If that thread snags and breaks somewhere down the line, the entire seam can begin to unravel, like a sweater with a loose thread. But in a hand saddle stitch, each stitch is a standalone knot. If the thread is cut, that one stitch may fail, but its neighbors will hold firm. The integrity of the entire seam remains intact. It is a method built not for speed, but for permanence. Now, multiply that single, knotted stitch by thousands. A single Bentley steering wheel, a complex, three-dimensional object, can require over 15 feet of stitching and take one highly skilled artisan an entire day to complete. The dashboard alone, with its long, sweeping seams that must be perfectly straight despite the complex curves of the underlying form, can consume 2 full days of labor. The seats, with their intricate diamond-shaped quilting, a signature Bentley feature, represent an even greater mountain of work. Each tiny diamond is outlined by hand, each puff of leather created by hand. When you add up every seam on the seats, the door panels, the dashboard, the console, and the roof pillars, you are looking at over 2 miles of hand stitching in a single car. This represents hundreds and hundreds of hours of focused, flawless human labor. This is the real cost of craftsmanship. It is the cost of paying a small army of artisans to perform a repetitive, painstaking task day after day, year after year, while maintaining an almost superhuman level of consistency. There is no undo button. A single slip of the needle, a moment of lost concentration, and an expensive piece of leather, already imbued with hours of work, can be ruined. The pressure is immense. The training for these stitches takes years, not weeks. They are not assembly line workers. They are guardians of a tradition. They are not building a car. They are creating a moving heirloom. The expense, therefore, is not just in the materials, which are costly enough. It is in the time. It is in the pension plans, the healthcare, the overhead of the workshop, and the accumulated lifetime of skill held in the hands of these individuals. In an age of automation, this commitment to the human hand is the most radical and expensive choice a company can make. It is a belief that some things cannot be, and should not be, automated. That the slight, beautiful imperfection of a human touch, the warmth and soul it adds, is worth more than any machine can ever produce. When you sit inside a Bentley, you are not surrounded by a product. You are surrounded by time, by dedication, and by the quiet, confident assurance that comes from something made to last, made not for the next owner, but for the next generation. That is the ultimate value, and that is what the man-hours are truly buying.